This video is about crocodiles. Crocodiles are some of the most fearsome predators. They are cunning, elusive, and highly effective hunters that lurk in the turbid waters of pools, lakes, and rivers, and even in water holes. They are formidable animals of huge proportions, with modern crocodiles such as the Nile crocodile growing to incredible sizes. In fact, alongside the saltwater crocodile of Australasia, the Nile crocodile might be considered a modern-day giant. The Nile crocodile, at 6 meters and about 700 kilograms in weight, is almost as big as the saltwater crocodile, Crocodilus porosus, which reaches up to 1 metric ton and a length of 7 meters. Both these animals share the reputation of being highly aggressive and extremely dangerous. Although most crocodiles are very large and dangerous, some species, such as the diminutive African dwarf crocodile, Osteolemus tetraspis, reach only 1.5 to 1.9 meters in length. This crocodile represents the opposite end of the extreme in size, and there are several species of crocodiles, including the alligator, the caiman, and the gharial, among others, that are intermediate in size between the largest crocodiles, this being the smallest of them. Crocodiles are ancient dinosaur-like creatures, and their ancestors, the ancient crocodile clades, date back to 200 million years when they first appeared during the late Triassic. Along with birds, crocodiles are the last remaining representatives of the Archosauria, a dinosaur lineage that has otherwise gone extinct. Although modern crocodiles are very large, there are numerous species of ancient crocodiles which are of gargantuan proportions in comparison to modern-day crocodiles. Perhaps this was necessary when one considers that they shared their habitat with equally large dinosaurs, which might act as potential prey, or worse, as predators. One of the ancient crocodile species, Sarcosuchus imperator, measured a length of 9 meters and weighed 3.5 metric tons, while the even larger giant Deinosuchus riograndensis was the biggest of them all, reaching an incredible 12 meters in length and weighing an immense 8.5 metric tons. There were other ancient crocodiles which were intermediate in size and mass to the above mentioned species, and they are illustrated in the diagram above. Giant crocodiles will have hunted giant dinosaur prey. To help them to trap and subdue their prey, crocodiles will have needed to have a very strong bite force. The bite force of crocodiles is incredible, even in modern crocodiles, such as the saltwater and Nile crocodiles, which are capable of bite forces of 260 kilograms for the saltwater crocodile and 350 kilograms for the Nile crocodile, while the American alligator has a recorded bite force of about 150 kilograms. The king of bite force is, of course, Deinosuchus riograndensis, which is pictured bottom right, which is estimated to have had a bite force of roughly 1,600 kilograms per square centimeter, while the smaller Sarcosuchus imperator, pictured in the top image, would have boasted a less powerful but still formidable bite force. The mosasaur, an aquatic dinosaur, pictured from bottom center, is estimated to have had an even greater bite force of 2,300 kilograms per square centimeter, while T-Rex, or Tyrannosaurus rex, is said to have had an immense bite force in excess of 30,000 kilograms per square centimeter, a very humbling statistic indeed. If the bite force of 350 kilograms per square centimeter for a Nile crocodile is compared to modern day animals such as hyena at about 77 kilograms per square centimeter, clearly even modern crocodiles are capable of a bite force at least 3.5 to 4 times greater than any hyena. For comparison to the Nile crocodile, here are some of the bite forces of modern day animals. The hyena, of course, was at 77 kilograms per square centimeter. The grizzly bear is at roughly 82. The polar bear at 84. The gorilla at 91. The bull shark at 95 kilograms per square centimeter. The jaguar with 105 kilograms per square centimeter. The hippopotamus with 126 kilograms, which is the strongest bite force of any mammal. The American alligator, which we've mentioned, at 150 kilograms. The saltwater crocodile, which is 260 kilograms, and of course the Nile crocodile would be 350. Deinosuchus is at 30,000 kilograms per square centimeter, and T-Rex is at 30,000 per square centimeter. Deinosuchus is 1,600. There are 23 known species of crocodiles distributed worldwide, representing 3 families: the Alligatoridae with 8 species of alligator and caiman, the Crocodilidae, of which there are 14 species of crocodile, and the Gavialidae, which is only 1 species, the Indian gharial. Here one can see a list of 23 known crocodile species with their family, common name, scientific or species name, and their known distribution. Note that some species of crocodiles have 2 or more subspecies depending on how isolated or disjunct populations of species are, and pending clarification of species status through genetics research. The subspecies, however, are not listed in this list. Crocodiles have quite a widespread distribution, which falls predominantly in tropical and subtropical regions. This is important because crocodiles are cold-blooded or poikilotherms and must rely on their external environment to regulate their body temperature. Crocodiles are distributed on all the major continents except Europe and Antarctica and are represented in 91 different countries. While some species have a fairly limited distribution, many species are distributed over a considerable range. Saltwater crocodiles, for example, are found from the eastern coastline of India and Sri Lanka, throughout the Philippines, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and the Australian Northern Territories, and all the way to the Pacific Islands of Vanuatu. The African Nile crocodile likewise stretches from the Nile in North Africa all the way to the southern tip of Africa and beyond to the island of Madagascar. In this video we are going to focus primarily on the Nile crocodile, partly because it occurs in Africa, my homeland, but also because of its legendary status. Crocodiles are named after the Greek name crocodilus or croco, meaning pebble, and delos, meaning worm, man, or penis. In Arabic, a crocodile is called tamsa, or plural altmasa. The Nguni people of southern Africa refer to them as Ingwenya, or in plural Isingwenya, while the Sesotho peoples refer to them as Quena, plural Diquena. The Afrikaners call them crocodilla, but sometimes call them plathonde, meaning flat dogs, because of their low profile and big jaws. A personal favorite of mine is the Italian version, coccodrilli. In Africa there are actually 3 species of crocodile: the slender snouted crocodile, Crocodilus or Mysistops cataphractus, the African dwarf crocodile, Crocodilus tetraspis, which is the smallest crocodile, and the African Nile crocodile, Crocodilus niloticus. The Nile crocodile has the widest distribution and is by far the largest in Africa and the second largest extant species in the world. Crocodiles roam the turbid waters of rivers and lakes in tropical climes, where their amphibious habits enable them to spend their time in stealthy concealment beneath murky waters or in subterranean burrows where they shelter during droughts. They may also venture onto land. Their watery habitats are punctuated by long periods of basking on the sandy shores of their preferred aquatic habitat, or they emerge from the water to cover the land in search of a better pool, waterhole, or river, particularly during periods of drought. Crocodiles range all over Africa where there is sufficient water to allow for their existence. They may therefore be found all over Africa south of the Sahel. However, those countries in the Sahel that share the Nile River course also have crocodiles. Crocodiles are also excluded from the arid areas of southern Africa, such as Namibia and the western and northern Cape of South Africa, where there are few rivers, if any, that would be suitable for hosting the Nile crocodile. So, Nile crocodiles are found in 40 of the 52 African states, although historically they were also found in the Comoros Islands, and they are still distributed in Madagascar, which is just off the African continent. At the extremes of their distribution, these crocodiles may be smaller in stature. For example, there are populations in Mali and the southern Sahara that grow to only 2 to 3 meters. This may be due to the paucity of food available for the crocodiles. In southern Africa, where conditions are cooler, the populations tend to reach about 4 meters in length, whereas Nile crocodiles found in warmer tropical climes with sufficient water will grow to 5 to 6 meters in exceptional situations, with some reports suggesting 7 meters as a possible maximum length. Because of their relatively disjunct distributions, Nile crocodiles are divided into 7 subspecies by experts. The distinction is based primarily on distribution, but of course genetics consequently plays a role in separating these subspecies based on their natural geographic isolation as populations from other populations of Nile crocodile. All crocodiles are designed for an aquatic lifestyle, and this is evident in a number of features that they possess. They have flattened and streamlined bodies with a laterally flattened powerful tail that has two rows of scutes along its length, which aid in propulsion. Their bodies are covered with a thick skin, which is smooth on the belly and flanks, while on the dorsal surface of the creature, the body is armored by modified bony scales called osteoderms, which provide protection against enemies such as lions, leopards, and other crocodiles. Paws in their osteoderms, particularly along the head, are thought to function in a similar fashion to a fish's lateral line system, although they are also thought to be sebaceous or oil glands, the secretion of which helps to protect the skin of the crocodile. This slide illustrates the bony scales with a closer view of the osteoderms of a typical Nile crocodile. Crocodiles have their eyes, ears, and nostrils placed on top of their head, allowing them to remain concealed underwater when stalking their prey. They are able to stay underwater for 2 to 3 hours and can drop their heart rate to about 4 beats per minute to slow down their metabolism and use less oxygen. Crocodiles may lie on the bottom of the river, channel, or lake that they find themselves in, and may do this opportunistically to wait for prey or to rest in relative safety from enemies. When they submerge, their nostrils are closed by means of valves. A flap on each side of the head closes to protect the inner ears, and a nictitating membrane present on each eye, and which is partially transparent, allows them summer vision underwater. The tongue is fixed in the mouth and cannot be protruded, and is useful for heat exchange or ventilation when basking in the sun, either for warming up or cooling down. The throat pouch flutters up and down to help ventilate the tongue and cool the crocodile down. Capillaries near the surface of the skin and in the osteoderms also assist with temperature control. The tongue is also used for removing excess salts when crocodiles venture into brackish waters of estuaries or even swim in the sea. The throat has a gullet flap that prevents water from entering the lungs, and for this reason crocodiles are not able to swallow their food underwater. The crocodile death roll. When feeding, crocodiles will trap their prey in their powerful jaws and then twist or roll their bodies, which is called a death roll, to drown prey, break their limbs, and subdue them. This also allows them to tear off pieces of flesh which they will swallow or gulp down at the water surface. They use their 64 to 68 teeth to grip and crush their prey, and can exert a force of 250 to 300 kilograms per square centimeter. Because of the construction of their skull, they are not able to chew food in a side-to-side motion as most mammals would be wont to do. They must therefore either swallow prey whole or tear off large chunks by rolling in order to swallow their food. Crocodile teeth. As mentioned before, crocodiles have from 60 to 68 teeth in their mouths, and these are periodically replaced when damaged or lost during their violent interactions with each other and with their prey. The ability to replace their teeth is a condition referred to as polyphyodont, and crocodiles are able to replace their teeth up to 50 times during their lifetime, should they be lost or damaged, of course. The tooth pattern or dentition is based on a set of premaxillary teeth in the upper jaw, with maxillary teeth behind them, and then the lower mandibular teeth in the lower jaw. The differences between crocodiles and alligators. The most common question regarding crocodiles is, how do crocodiles differ from alligators? Crocodiles are quite different from their cousins, the gharials and the alligators, and differ in a number of ways. The gharials and false gharials have very narrow snouts compared to alligators and crocodiles, since they are primarily fish eaters, while the crocodiles in turn have much narrower and elongate jaws than the alligator and caiman cousins, and therefore generally longer head lengths. Typically, the jaw shape of a crocodile is referred to as a V shape, as opposed to the U shape of the alligators and caimans. Crocodiles have an upper and lower jaw of equal proportions. The teeth in their lower jaws protrude over the side of the upper jaw, making all their teeth visible, while alligators and caimans have narrower lower jaws, and their lower jaw teeth fit into special sockets in the upper jaw when the mouth is closed. The fourth tooth on each lower jaw in crocodiles is slightly larger and fits into a narrow jaw constriction on the upper jaw when the mouth is closed. This makes a very reliable way to distinguish crocodiles from other members of the family. Crocodiles and alligators have 5 toes on the front feet and 4 toes on the hind feet. The toes of the hind feet have webbing, which is more extensive in crocodiles than in alligators, and this is used for steering and slowing down when the crocodiles swim. Crocodiles also have special salt glands in their tongues, which alligators do not, and these help the crocodiles to remove excess salts in brackish habitats. Crocodiles are not generally able to withstand the cold, unlike their alligator cousins, which are more resilient in cold conditions. Crocodiles and alligators, as mentioned before, have 5 toes on the front and 4 on the back. Here you can see the 5 toes on the front and 4 on the back for the crocodile. The toes of the hind feet have webbing, which is much more extensive than the alligator, as is obvious here. Some advanced features of crocodiles include a 4-chambered heart, similar to birds and mammals, a cerebral cortex, which is absent in other reptiles, and a specialized incorporation of muscles used for locomotion that function as a diaphragm to assist with respiration. Vision in crocodiles. Crocodiles have their eyes on the top of their heads for vision, while floating with their body partially submerged. To protect the eye, there are upper and lower eyelids and a nictitating membrane that moves across the eye from the inner corner of the eye. It protects the eye underwater, but also provides limited sight through the opaque membrane. During the day, the vertical pupil protects the eye efficiently against the intense sunlight, and the rod and cone cells in the eye allow for color vision. The rod cells also function at night in cooperation with the reflective layer, the tapetum lucidum, which reflects light into the retina and enables crocodiles to see relatively well at night when they are not active, when they are most active since they are nocturnal hunters. Smell in crocodiles, also called olfaction. Crocodiles have chemoreceptive organs in the olfactory chamber that function in smell both on land and in water. Although they close their nostrils when diving and therefore only use their sense of smell when at the surface. The sense of smell helps them to locate their prey or dead carcasses on land or submerged beneath the water. They enhance their sense of smell by pumping the pharynx to draw air into their olfactory chamber. It is thought that crocodiles detect soluble chemicals underwater using their gustatory or taste receptors and tactile or touch receptors. Hearing in crocodiles is quite good, although they do not have external ears. The eardrum or tympanum is protected by flaps that are able to close when the crocodile submerges. Touch in crocodiles. Crocodiles have specialized sensory pits lying along the upper and lower jaws, which have dark pigmentation and are called domed pressure receptors. They are nodules innervated with nerve endings that function in the same way as the lateral line of fishes, and are able to detect the faintest of vibrations in the water to warn the crocodile against danger or to locate prey animals. The paws extend onto the rest of the body in crocodiles but are absent in alligators and appear to function in the detection of salinity levels in the water. They also presumably provide information about their surroundings. Feeding in crocodiles. Crocodiles are superb hunters and are considered top predators. They are known to hunt large antelope and have been recorded scavenging on elephant and hippo carcasses, and to have killed sharks and large land predators such as lion. They also feed on birds, fish, amphibians, snakes, terrapins and other reptiles, mollusks, crustaceans and mammals other than those already described. Young crocodiles tend to feed on small fishes and invertebrates such as insects. The stomach of crocodiles is highly acidic and can digest bone, hooves and horns of their prey animals. It is thought that the crocodile can divert carbon dioxide accumulated in its muscles to the stomach lining, where it can be used to secrete more acid into the digestive tract. It achieves this feat by diverting blood by closing its right aortic arch and using the left aortic arch to pump blood through the muscles and extract accumulated carbon dioxide from anaerobic respiration. The powerful jaws, as mentioned previously, can close with a force of about 250 to 350 kilograms, which is the strongest bite force of any living animal and is much more powerful than that of the great white shark at 95 kilograms and the hyena at 77 kilograms. The muscles for opening the jaw are by contrast very weak, and it can generate very little force to open its jaws. Crocodile locomotion. Crocodiles swim with a sinuous motion and hold their limbs close to the body to reduce drag. Crocodiles will push up from the bottom using their limbs when the water is shallow or when they are moving off the bottom of the river or waterhole. The hind limbs are webbed to allow for turning and braking. Crocodiles can run up to 17 km per hour on land and generally reach a maximum of 5 km when doing their high walk, which is when they lift their body off the ground with their legs extended. Many small species can gallop on land, but most larger crocodiles move in a sinuous belly run, typically reaching about 10 to 11 km per hour. Their swimming speed is a leisurely pace of about 5 km per hour, and it can reach a top speed of about 15 km per hour over short distances. However, the crocodile can accelerate out of the water to snatch prey at a speed of about 70 km per hour. Crocodile habitat. Nile crocodiles inhabit many different habitat types and are successful in rivers, lakes, freshwater swamps, and some populations may be found in brackish water, such as those living in estuarine waters, and brackish lakes, as in the population found in the Isimangaliso wetland area. They are able to survive periods of drought and will typically go into a kind of hibernation, a summer hibernation called estivation, by digging burrows or dens with their snouts or forelegs, which they will use for shelter. These are usually dug in the banks of dried up lakes, rivers, and waterholes. Crocodiles are also known to take shelter under low rocky overhangs and in caves where these present themselves, and can cover long distances on land in search of a suitable aquatic refuge. I've personally seen relatively large crocodiles emerge from temporary rain pools along the verge of a dirt track, and seen tracks in the mud of waterholes that had dried up for some time. Communication. Crocodiles have about 20 different vocalizations which play an important part in their communication with other crocodiles and with the individuals of other species during interspecies conflicts or interactions. Most of these vocalizations are either made during the mating phase for the purpose of reproduction, as in the case of territorial calls, or as aggressive calls to other crocodiles or to enemies. Some of the more commonly heard and specific vocalizations are bellowing, as illustrated in these GIFs. Males bellow during the mating season particularly, but also may do so outside of the season. They inflate their throats and arch their back with their head and tail raised in the water. They then give off an infrasonic call, which is basically a call that's less than what humans can hear at 10 kilohertz. It's inaudible to human beings who can only hear at 20 hertz. This infrasonic call produces powerful vibrations in the water so that it literally dances before they produce an audible bellow. The tail is moved from side to side during this process. Then there's the threat call. This is a coughing or hissing sound that crocodiles emit when they feel threatened and are becoming aggressive. The distress call is in this case is a high-pitched call particularly used by younger crocodiles when they are being attacked or when there is imminent danger. The hatching call is well known. This is emitted by a female when she's completed her nest to signal to other crocodiles that she has laid her eggs. The chirp is when young crocodiles are able to hatch. The young make a peeping or chirping call to signal to the female to come and excavate the nest. She helps the hatchlings emerge and collects them in her gullet pouch by gently picking them up with her teeth and shifting them to the back of her throat. She then takes them to a safe and secluded nursery area. In crocodile reproduction, after attracting a female through bellowing and engaging in a long courtship of snout rubbing and submissive behavior, the crocodiles mate in the water. This takes place several times. Eventually, when the eggs have developed, The female begins to excavate a series of trial nests in the sand on the river or lake embankment. Nile crocodiles eventually lay their eggs, producing about 60 to 80 eggs, but the average can be about 45. These are laid at night in a process that takes about 30 minutes. The female will guard the nest against predators such as Nile monitor lizards, water mongoose, and other threats, and the eggs will usually hatch after about 80 to 90 days. The incubation period is dependent on the temperature and may take longer or a shorter period of time depending on the conditions. Like tortoises, terrapins, and turtles, the sex of crocodiles is determined by the temperature of the developing eggs. If it is above 33 degrees centigrade, they will all be male. If the temperatures only reach 31 degrees centigrade, then the hatchlings will be female. Like their avian cousins, young crocodiles have an egg tooth placed in this case on their snouts, which helps them to break the eggshell. The female also assists the young in the process by rolling the eggs gently on her teeth. Once collected by the female, she takes them to a nursery area, which may be referred to as a creche or pod, and guards and nurtures them for about a year. Young crocodiles feed on insects, crustaceans, tadpoles, frogs, small fish, birds, and snails. Crocodiles mature at the age of about 15 years and a length of 2 to 3 meters, although females can become gravid or can conceive at about 9 years. Crocodile tracks. Crocodiles leave very distinct track sequences, not only on the land but sometimes also beneath the water on the river or lake bed. They might leave their tracks in the sediment of a water body when they are resting beneath the water to ambush prey or to regulate their body temperature. They may walk on the bottom or push off from the bottom from their resting spots, leaving their tracks. Crocodiles may also stand on their hind legs as they peer at their potential prey at the surface. Here are a series of pictures showing typical crocodile behavior, from lying prone, walking and peering, or spying on prey. Note that the crocodile walks in an upright position with legs extended and the tail tip or low extension of the tail drags in the mud. In the following sequence of images, we have a series of crocodile track sequences made in a dry water hole. In the first image, the crocodile has left an imprint of its belly drag. There are two ways in which this can occur. In the first scenario, a crocodile might drag its belly on slick mud when there's still a small amount of water in the water hole, giving it some buoyancy and allowing it to easily skim over the mud. In the second, and in this case more likely scenario, the crocodile was walking in very deep and soft fine mud and therefore dragged its belly simply because it could not lift it clear of the substrate, with its legs sinking so deeply into the mud. In the third image, the crocodile tracks are leading towards and away from a burrow where the animal will take shelter when there is no water during a dry season or a drought. For illustrative purposes, here are some additional track sequences where an area is frequented by crocodiles. It is often the case that there might be multiple tracks crisscrossing each other, as in the image on the left, and so tail drags and the occasional clear footprint might then be useful for identifying the animal and learning its habits. Note the tail tip imprinted in a sinuous fashion as illustrated in the image on the right. The crocodile was moving from bottom to top in this image, i.e. away from the viewer. This was taken in a crocodile enclosure. The culprit is seen basking in the inset image. When searching for crocodiles, there's one particular animal that will always be found in the vicinity, and that is the water monitor lizard or leguan. The tracks are quite similar since they are both reptiles and both have an amphibious lifestyle. Water monitors, which reach a length of about 1.5 meters or so, have tracks that resemble those of crocodiles in that there's a tail drag, often sinuous, and footprints on either side. The monitor lizard has 5 toes in the front and back feet, while the crocodile has 5 toes in the front foot and 4 on the back. Here is a sequence showing the tracks of both animals. The crocodile tracks are moving from left to right. Tracks are outlined in yellow, while those of the monitor lizard are moving from bottom to top. Tracks are outlined in blue. On the right hand end of the image, straddling the shade area, The toes do not sink in as deeply, and the claw marks are evident as little indentations on the right side of the image. Note that this particular crocodile is less than 2 meters in length and therefore still a juvenile. The green outline shows a grey heron track for scale. It is quite likely that this sequence shows an altercation between the crocodile and the monitor lizard, and this is probably not a chance meeting of tracks over time. They are fierce enemies. The water monitor feeds on crocodile eggs and young hatchlings, while adult crocodiles will kill and eat monitor lizards. The heron will eat young crocodile hatchlings too, given a chance. Here is the different angles showing the crocodile tracks coming from the top left, outlined in yellow, and the monitor tracks heading from left to right, outlined in blue. The crocodile tail drag mark is indicated by the red arrow. The crocodile has turned to chase the monitor, as indicated by the left footprint. Here we have a very detailed imprint of the left foot of a water monitor with impressions of the scales clearly visible in the fine muddy sediment. Note also the claw marks at the end of each of the 5 toes. There is only one other animal whose tracks will generally resemble the water monitor and the crocodile tracks, and that is the vervet monkey, which also has hand and foot-like tracks and 5 fingers on each hand and foot. The tail will also drag from time to time when the animal is moving slowly. Here is a vervet monkey track pattern in a poor sandy substrate. The animal is moving from right to left, and the tail drag is clearly visible. Notice the hand and footprints and the similarity to the water monitor lizard. The lizard can be distinguished by its claw marks. Monkeys have nails like humans and therefore no claws. Its longer, narrower fingers relative to its size, and where the substrate is very fine and muddy, by the scale imprints in the substrate and the pad imprints of the monkeys. The foot shape differs considerably in a good substrate, making identification much easier. The more obvious hand and footprints are circled in yellow. The red arrow indicates the tail drag, which is less serpentine or sinuous than that of the reptile, which is considerably more side-to-side oscillation when moving. Here we have very clear hand and foot imprints of a crocodile made in relatively deep and fine sediment. In the first image, the individual front and hind tracks of the crocodile are clearly visible. The second image shows a similar sequence. For reference, we have the front and hind feet of a crocodile. Note the front foot has 5 toes and the hind foot has 4 toes with webbing. Also note that the front foot is more star-like in appearance due to the splaying of the toes, in many respects similar to that of the Virginia opossum from North America. The hind foot toes are more forward-pointing in comparison. Humans are the biggest threats to crocodile populations. There is a constant conflict caused by encroachment on their habitat, excessive hunting of the crocodile's prey, pollution and littering, mining, which can affect the health of crocodile eggs and may harm their young hatchlings. Water extraction dries up many river habitats, and persecution through hunting for trophies or for the pot, or to simply rid them as nuisance animals, are all threats that crocodiles face. Crocodiles around the world are vulnerable to habitat destruction and to persecution through hunting and poaching. Crocodiles have many enemies, and the recruitment rate in crocodiles is subsequently very low. Water mongoose, honey badger, jackal, and water monitor lizards are some of the predators that prey on their nest eggs and on their nestlings. Large birds such as Goliath herons, storks, fish eagles, large fish, and even other crocodiles will also prey on crocodile hatchlings. Understanding how low the recruitment is can be illustrated by the following scenario. This was adapted from a display at a crocodile park in Isimangaliso Park. If you start with a total population of 1,000 adult crocodiles, Isimangaliso Park by comparison has 800 adult individuals. Half the population will be male and the other half female. Therefore, there are approximately 500 females in such a population that are capable of breeding. On average, half of those females will breed in any 1 year, as females only breed every 2nd year. That leaves 250 females that are able to lay an average of 45 eggs producing about 11,250 eggs per year. Of the 11,250 eggs produced per year, only half, or 5,625 eggs, are viable because of infertility of the eggs and due to the ravages of predation. Of the 5,625 eggs that hatch, only 5% of the hatchlings survive the first year because of the onslaught of predators, with the result that only about 280 hatchlings survive the first year, and in the second year, 45% survive, leaving 126 hatchlings in total after the second year. It will take another 7 years before they are old enough to breed, by which time 80% of the 126 odd individuals that survive to the second year will have been removed from the population, leaving a paltry 26 to 28 individuals recruited to breeding age each year within the population. Of these, 13 to 14 will be adult males and 13 to 14 will be adult females. Of the 26 to 28 individuals that are recruited per year to adulthood, 13 to 14 will be female. Of those, 6 to 7 of the adult breeding females are lost to the population from natural causes. This leaves a recruitment number equal to the annual loss of breeding adults, that is, an equilibrium is achieved. This illustrates just how vulnerable crocodile populations can be. Understanding the complexities involved in protecting a species is essential to protecting our wildlife. One of the greatest threats to crocodile populations in reserves such as Isimangaliso Wetland Park are invasive plant species. Trifid weed or Chromalida odorata is a North American invasive species that has taken over riverbanks in many reserves. These sandy riverbanks are essential habitat for crocodile breeding and temperature moderation. Crocodiles lie on these riverbanks to bask in the sun and warm themselves or ventilate depending on their needs. They also provide suitable areas for females to dig their nests and to lay their eggs. The eggs, while protected by the female crocodile, are not brooded in the way birds would brood a nest of eggs. Instead, the crocodiles rely on the sun to incubate their eggs. The temperature of the nest is critical in determining the ultimate sex of the crocodile hatchlings, with eggs at temperatures around 28 to 30 degrees Celsius being female, and those from 31 to 34 will tend to be male. The trifid weed smothers indigenous plants, reduces the amount of embankment available to crocodiles, and shades the nests of crocodiles, affecting thereby the recruitment of male crocodiles into the population. The extent and urgency of the problem is reflected by this sign that calls for the eradication of this highly invasive weed in the Kloof Conservancy of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. Crocodiles can pose a significant threat to human beings, especially in areas where they cohabit, since they are dangerous predators with rather Catholic dietary preferences. They will not likely pass up the opportunity to have a human for prey. Isimangaliso Wetland Parks has a very large crocodile population, and there have been fatalities. One of my professors lost his dog to a crocodile in the same area, and a school friend sadly lost his sister to a crocodile. This ever-present danger causes human conflict and persecution of crocodiles, especially in communities where the local people are wont to use a river for irrigation, washing, and bathing. Tourism areas are also potential sites for conflict, and the plethora of warning signs at Isimangaliso Wetland Park warn against the ever-present danger of crocodile attacks. Apparently, even wheelchair-bound individuals are at risk of rolling into the jaws of a crocodile. Here is a warning sign written in a similar vein in Sodwana, which is also situated in Isimangaliso Wetlands Park. Note that Isimangaliso is one of the few places in the world where one has to face the triumvirate of dangerous aquatic threats: the crocodile, the Zambezi or bull shark, and the hippopotamus. An interesting point about crocodile attacks in rivers is that many attacks previously ascribed to crocodiles, sometimes hundreds of kilometers up African rivers, were actually due to the Zambezi or bull shark, as they are known more widely. The Zambezi shark gets its name from the Zambezi River, where it is known to travel up as far as 450 kilometers from the river mouth at the sea on the Mozambique's coastline. The Zambezi park shark is incidentally the animal with the highest recorded levels of testosterone of any animal, and therefore can be considered the most aggressive in the animal kingdom. Thank you. I hope that you enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe, and look out for future videos. Thank you.